Welcome to the Encourager Podcast. I'm Rebekah Scott. I own Rebekah Scott Designs, where I am the designer and the CEO. I believe that if you desire an active, impactful role in your children's lives while simultaneously wanting to provide an income for your family, then being a mompreneur is exactly what you need to work at home. The Encourager Podcast is my way of inspiring and motivating you with insightful knowledge, tips, and advice from myself and other successful working women who put their families first. So let's take action and encourage one another. It's official. My book, Equipped to Execute, Guiding Moms to Joyfully Impact Their Families and Business, is available on Amazon.com and on my website, equippedtoexecute.com. You no longer need to pre-order. I'm staring at the books in my studio. It's so exciting. But if you could be so kind, if you do order from Amazon.com, to leave me a review. These are really important in the book industry, and I'm learning all about it, and it's been a great joy to learn everything I can. So go ahead and leave me a review if you'd be so kind on the Amazon.com, and check out my website for the other offers that were available with the pre-orders, such as my backpack, the Leah, super cute, and the wristlet for summer when you're out and about. So take a peek and order the book, Equipped to Execute. Thank you, Encouragers. Okay, Encouragers, I have a really fun episode today. I recruited somebody that I highly admire and I knew would be great for the podcast for you guys to listen to, a little bit different story about success and prioritizing family over what others would see as a super amazing job, and how she is still fulfilled. And we all go through this different grind in different stages of our life, and she has done it beautifully. So I thought she would be a great guest, and I will introduce her as Kim Henderson. Tell us about yourself.
Well, hello, Rebekah. Thank you for having me. I am married to my high school sweetheart of 22 years, and we have three beautiful children, 21, 17, and 8. We had one of those, I think they're called a bookend kid or something like that. So, yeah, 2 girls and then a little guy who's rocked our world. So it's been awesome.
And you live in the Midwest in Sioux Falls.
Correct.
And we first met at church, I believe.
You are correct.
And so that was like 10 years ago because Gus was a baby. And then I think you got to be really good friends with Laura Barcher.
Yes.
Who's another good friend of ours. And then we joined a passion group, which was basically my way of forming a mastermind group without all the fees and stuff. And it would be less demanding and all that stuff. So it was like we would get together, brainstorm quick, and then bail to all of our jobs and everything. So that's how we got to know each other.
It was mom friendly.
Yes, it was very mom friendly. Bring your kids, that sort of thing. It was awesome. So I contacted Kim and I said, hey, tell me what's going on. She was working for this amazing event company, and I want her to tell us a little bit about first why she got into the event company, discovering her strengths and then her passion, and then tell us the rest of the story. So go ahead, Kim.
You're like Paul Harvey.
Yeah, the rest of the story.
That's fantastic. So I had a freeing experience probably a handful of years ago where my church did a strengths finder test. And, you know, my education background had always kind of pigeonholed me into children's ministry, and I wasn't really feeling the passion for it anymore. And so the Strengths Finder really allowed me to explore what my strengths were. It really was empowering, freed me up to step away from children's ministry and maybe, you know, serve in a different area that I felt more passionate about.
And the Strengths Finder is awesome. If you haven't done it, usually if you've had an 8-to-5 job, they make you do it now, but it's Clifton Strengths Finder. I think you can get a cheaper version for free, or you can pay for it. I highly recommend it. It's 34 different skills, and it'll narrow it down to your top 5 and kind of help you, like Kim was just talking about, delve into what you're really passionate about and how you're wired. So we'll provide a link for that in our show notes.
And it's a little out of the box for a church to do that.
Yeah.
It was very, very
forward thinking.
Yes, very empowering. So in that, like that same transition, you know, I was looking for career opportunities. My youngest was going to be starting school, and my husband just was such an encourager and said, you should start your own business. And what does that look like? Mm-hmm. So I've always had a passion for planning and organizing. I'm a firstborn girl. Patting myself on the shoulder through some pretty, but you know, children's birthday parties, yes. Family parties, firstborn girl, bossy. I'm not bossy. I just have really good ideas. So this kind of led to, you know, event planning, party planning. And how could I make this happen? And it really, truly started at my kitchen counter, like just
like all good businesses.
All good businesses right at the kitchen counter. And I happen to be married to a marketing guy who's a wonderful designer. He has informed me that I was the worst client he's ever had.
Oh,
yeah. There's that. So
because why? Because you were
I was just picky, and like most of your clients don't stand over your shoulder in their nightgown.
Oh,
like
sure.
Watching your every, like picking colors and design. I just, I just wanted it to be perfect.
And probably because you knew you could be nitpicky.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, he probably wanted to fire me. So I had that going for me. And I've never met a stranger. So I just really hit the pavement, joined the Chamber of Commerce, went to all the mixers, called up all the vendors that would be involved in that world and just said, hey, let's meet. I want to meet you. I want to hear your story. I want to tell you my story. I had an acquaintance who had a daughter getting married. So I called and said, I would love to help plan your daughter's wedding. And she said, I can't afford you. And I said, that's not what this is about. I just want the experience. And then it's exactly how I dreamed it would play out. Like that turned into another one. And then that turned into another one. And it just word of mouth. And that's how it all got started. All about networking. Yes. It was just getting out and meeting people and not being afraid to try new things. And I remember going to my first chamber mixer, like being very nervous when I pulled up in my minivan and I see all these guys pulling up in sedans and suits. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, I'm not a shy person, but I had like a little mini anxiety attack. A friend kind of talked me off the wall and it was like, you said you're going to do this. Now get your butt in there and do it. So I went in, had a great time, met some spectacular people that I am still friends with and have been like mentors to me through this whole process. And in that same course, I got asked to serve like on a nonprofit board and met some great people and ran into another event planner in town. And she was spectacular, like just very transparent, willing to let me pick her brain. And we kind of joked about, joining forces, and then we got serious about it. And the thing, like my husband asked me, he's like, and she was very respectful of like the brand that I had been working on and my name and all of that. But and my husband questioned that too, but I was really at peace with that because as long as I was doing what I was passionate about, it didn't really matter. Like if I was doing what I loved, I didn't really care whose umbrella I was doing it under, or
you wasn't totally involved in your own name.
No, not at all. Like I wanted to help people. I have a servant's heart and I just wanted to do what I loved. So that's what happened. And it was kind of like, I compared it to playing like leapfrog and I like jumped over 3 kids, like I just like, it was like it just overnight, like, on steroids. And wow, like what a ride. It was fantastic. Met even more great people, learned so much. And I loved meeting everyone, just working with everyone. We have amazing, amazing people in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and all around the state. So it was just a fantastic experience.
But then, how long you were with the company?
1 year.
1 year. Had a couple of aha moments and realizations. And this is what I really desperately want you all to listen to carefully.
So along the way, I was always that hands-on mom. Mm-hmm. And I had an instance last fall, actually, where I couldn't attend the classroom party. I had a prior commitment. And I said, you know what? I'll make some treats. I'll send treats. So I stayed up all night making these treats. I should have put them on Pinterest.
They were amazing.
They were amazing. They were beautiful. They even had glitter. They were beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is an event planner cooking.
Top notch. So I was pretty proud of him. He came home from school the next day and I, of course, wanted to know how the party went. Did everybody love my treats that I made? Yes. And he looked me square in the eye and he said, where were you?
Oh my gosh.
And it cut deep. And my husband tried to smooth it over in that moment. And I stopped him because it was the truth. Like my little guy was spot on. And I could have shown up with a bag of day old cookies and he would have been happier than he was in that moment. So that was a red flag. That was an aha moment. And then, there was a few along the way. Another one was a concert at school. And, it's a gym, risers full of kids. Can't find my kid. So your next thing is to go look for his classmates' faces.
Yes.
And I didn't know him. I couldn't find him. And I remember having, I probably turned beet red because it was like, in my mind, it was embarrassing. It was like, my heart was racing because it was like, this is not, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is not who you are. Get it together. So that was another definite aha moment.
When I get super stressed out and I know that I've got some red flags, I have dreams that I can see my children, but their face is blurred. That is my, like, got it, God, you're right. And then the next morning, it's rearranging things to slow things down. I haven't had that dream for a while, thankfully, blessedly, but I'm human, so I'm sure it'll happen again. Right. But similar experience.
Well, and my oldest is 21, Rebekah. You would think I would have this figured out.
Oh, yeah. No, we're human.
Yes, we are.
And we show lots of grace and courage. We talk about that all the time. So you have these two, I'm sure there was multiple.
There were.
Moments. And then you go out to eat with your husband. And you tell him.
I shared my heart. It was just a moment where we finally were able to connect, the two of us. And it was holding back tears, not very good at that. And he just looked at me and he said, I've seen it. I've been watching it. And I was just waiting for you to tell me about it. And it was like, wow, why did I wait so long to let that out?
Yeah.
And he said, I have one question for you. He said, if you were doing what you're doing and you were making $1 million paycheck, would it change how you feel this moment? And I said, absolutely not.
Oh my gosh. I totally got goosebumps all over. Imagine posing that question to yourself right now. If you were making $1 million, would you still do the job at the stake of everything else? Great question. So the reason why I'm having Kim talk so much is because she's an amazing storyteller. And so when she got out here, I was like, okay, catch me up to speed, because we haven't caught up for like months. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just going to be you on the mic because you're amazing at telling all these details. So he tells you that your next step was, at that dinner, did you decide, okay, if you're okay with me quitting, I'm going to quit. And then you decided I need to tell my sister, which would be me too. I would tell my twin sister. Next.
And he said to me in that conversation, he just said, it was very freeing. He said, Kimberly, I don't care what you do. I just want you to be happy. Oh. And that was like, I truly have, like, I know your husband's pretty great, Rebekah, but mine is like the best.
Yes.
So one of my next conversations was with my sister, who is, one of my best friends. And it was over the phone because she lives, 3 hours away. And I asked her, and there was there's a little bit of pride there because, I was going after this. They've been watching me chase this dream and loving it. And so this was kind of like just hitting the brakes, just wait, what? What are you talking about? So I asked her, choking back tears, because that's what I do. I said, would you think I'm crazy if I told you I wanted to quit my job? And there was just silence on the phone. And she too came back emotional. And she just said, it would be music to my ears.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She said, I miss you.
And I think that and it's pride, because I have it too, and ego and all of that. And you're like, nope, I can handle it. And
Absolutely.
The ones around you that love you the most and know all, especially when you're like type A, like us, oldest child. I'm actually the youngest by a minute, but I act like the oldest. I don't know why. We go through this thing where we're like, everybody is holding me accountable to the spot, when we really haven't asked them, where do you see me in this picture? Do you think that I should be at the top, or how to hold back? And so I guess the lesson that I'm taking from this is also keep asking those closest to me, how do you feel about this decision as well? I don't have to make all these decisions by myself, which I'm also discovering with my team is I wouldn't take things on because I thought, oh, that's going to be up to me, and how am I going to do that? So I'm just not going to do that. When I realized if I start asking my team, they'd be like, wait, there's a way simpler way. Because I like, Kim said the expression, just cracks me up. Balls to the walls. And that expression just cracks me up. That's how I am too. And I'll do it to punishment. Like, I just don't stop and pause and go, wait, there is an easier way, because I'm like, no, I already started this way and I'm just going to go at it until I step back and reflect.
I said I would do this, so I'm going to do it. Yes. And I'm going to do it the best way.
So you go to quit. What was that like?
I was really at that point completely at peace with it.
Were they completely shocked?
I think so. I mean, I don't think I think it was a surprise. I also wear my heart on my sleeve. So, I mean, people around me know. I can't think it came as a complete surprise just because I share, things about my daily happenings and all of that. So yeah, maybe a little confusion, but respected, like totally respected.
Good. And then this is the part where I'm like, you see all these red flags coming and you ask those closest to you and they say, yep. And you have a phone call with your friend Wynn and she prays on the phone. And you tell the rest, because I think this is the best.
So she's one of my dearest friends, and she moved away. How dare she? Her name is Wynn, and on Wednesdays, we have a check-in. So it's Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
Oh, cute.
And so I shared, that was like the first time that I had shared my heart with her, and we pray over the phone a lot. And she just said, let's pray. And I remember it was a rainy day, and I was sitting in my minivan, because that's what I do. And she was praying, and I giggled out loud while she was praying because she said, Dear Lord, just help us get off this hamster wheel and burn the hamster wheel so we can't get back on it. And it was such a visual thing for me because it's like, and I had that thought, why do I keep doing this? Why do I do this? So that was a good visualization.
I love that. And so what I would like to think about through this is that it's okay to say no to what others view as success, meaning the world, not just necessarily what God has given us and gifted us. Because there's no doubt that God has gifted you in entertaining and planning and organization and all of your strengths. You are gifted in that. But kudos to you for realizing I need to put the brakes on this and rediscover how he wants me to use them. That doesn't totally damage everyone else in my life. So, what kind of advice would you give to listeners to seeing those red flags and reorganizing your life and where you are right now with how you're going to go forward with what you know as your gifts, what you found out is too much, and what you want to do with that?
Wow. That's a loaded question. Real loaded question, Rebekah.
How you do it?
So I think, I obviously still have some weddings on my plate because you grow quite close to those brides. So I will do that. And it does fulfill me, creative outlet and I'm kind of good at it and I enjoy it. So, and then part of it for me is I have the surprise. My oldest daughter just got engaged. So she's got a wedding date a year from now. So I get to fulfill it with her. How fulfilling is that? That's going to be fantastic to be able to let that be the focus. And just really, it's kind of like a timeout for my soul. It's just, I cleaned a lot of closets.
Yes.
A lot of closets were kind of messy in my house. It was causing
I think that's what your first email said to me. I'm cleaning closets today.
Truly, I was. I made a list. Today, this closet, today, this closet. And, love labels. I remember texting my husband and coat closet is redone and newly labeled. And he responded, you are sick. But it makes my soul real happy. So literally just taking a time out and kind of cleaning metaphorically and, the real deal, just a time out. I've been taking better care of myself, running and
go ahead and tell them.
Yeah. So I've lost 52 pounds. So that's kind of a big deal.
Oh my gosh, it's a huge deal.
Yeah, a whole new world. I had to clean out my closet, totally clean out my closet. Yeah, so that was fun. Consignment stores are my friend. Yeah. So just taking better care of myself, and it's okay to put yourself first. Even still, I remember one day it was time to go pick up my little guy, and I said to my husband, I'm gonna be a bad mom, and I'm gonna sneak in a run before I go pick him up. And he said, I'm gonna stop you right there. He's like, that's being a good mom.
Yes.
I'm like, you're right. See, again, 21 plus years as a parent, and I'm still a work in progress. So just, making that a priority of taking care of myself and inside and out. And, that's how I'm doing it.
I just can't help but think, you have these couple of weddings coming up. I'm excited to keep following up with you, and we will have you on the podcast again because we need to hear that it's okay to put a big halt, a big stop sign. Because the world tells us that we can do it all at once and we can be super successful. But I am a true believer that we can't do it all at once. So there's different stages in your life where you can put the pedal down and go, go, go. And then there's different stages where you need to just hit the brakes. And for me and my businesses have come, thankfully we're at a very large stage of business and it's awesome. But there are still things that people don't know that have been offered to me that I'm like, no. Because that would change my business model. So a lot for me, it's the manufacturing part. where they say, Becca, you can't sew anymore. You need to hire all of that out and you need to focus on XYZ. And I just tell them very plainly, if you take away all the sewing from me, you will lose every last creative gene I have in my body, and I quit. So, and I always refer back to my vision is to sew at home and raise babies. So if you change that vision, I'm out. I don't want it. Even if it's $1 million, I don't want it. And God, thankfully, has really blessed that and still allowed huge amounts of growth because I stayed true to that vision. But I've also experienced a ton of flaws and a ton of things where I was like, why does every lesson have to be so expensive? Like my $10,000 catalog that I've talked about that flopped. But I think it's just really refreshing to see someone so fulfilled and beautiful, and she's totally healthy, and you can hear in her voice that she's full of joy, and that it's okay. Like she's not crumbling because she's not doing what she was obviously gifted at and still is, but she's not a mess and a puddle on the floor. She's still like, you know what? I made the right choice. My family's doing well. I'm taking care of myself. And that's refreshing. And we need to hear that because we feel like once we start something, we got to go balls to the walls, like you said, and you can still do that. But now you learned how to maybe scale it a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see when it is led by yourself and what God is, what that will look like. Because I said in one of the pre-interviews, one of the questions, I was like, so how do you strike a balance? She looked at me and goes, oh, I hate that word. And I thought that's very true because someone once told me you balance and then you rebalance and then you rebalance. And Kim made the point, well, why do we balance at all? And I think that's a very good interpretation to it as well. So do you have any closing thoughts, Kim, that you'd like to share with those mommies who are debating about either taking more on or pushing the pause button or even the stop button?
My go-to is give it to God. So many people are like, what are you going to do? And I didn't know. I didn't know, but I was completely at peace because I was honoring what he gave me, yes. My amazing husband, my 3 kids, mm-hmm. and he's always provided. He's never let me down. And I knew he had me. Yeah.
I think the word surrender is it's a beautiful word, and it's a very difficult word in this stage of life, but it is a word that we need to meditate on and think about. What does surrender mean in my business? And what does surrender mean in my motherhood and my wifehood, if that is a word? And that's a very good word to think about. So we are telling you that it's okay to pause and reflect and see if all your roles are in fact succeeding or failing, and to reach out and ask for help because the ones closest to you will see it and okay it for you. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show. It has been so fun to catch up, and I'm going to let you guys go because Kim and I got some more stuff to talk about. So thank you, encouragers. We got this. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you have not done so, please subscribe to the show so that the latest episode will always be conveniently available on your device. You can also find the show notes on my website at shoprsd.com. That's shop with R as in Rebecca, S as in Scott, and D as in designs.com. The Encourager Podcast tab is at the bottom of my website, which holds some great resources like my recommended book page, how to rate and review my podcast, and reflection guides that correspond with each episode. Each review and rating is so valuable to us. I sincerely hope you feel encouraged and empowered to tackle anything that comes your way this week. Remember to be grateful, humble, and kind. Then joy will come ushering in. Until next time on The Encourager.